Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Rod here from Jetboard Australia. We're going to go electric today. We have a Radinn Explore board here, one of the older models. It's got a fault with the jet unit in it, so we're going to show you how to remove the jet unit, pull the impeller out, explain how it all works, what to look for, and grease it all up and stick it back in again. So yeah, stick around, we'll get stuck into it. Alrighty, let's get stuck into this. Pretty simple process. Basically, there's a series of star drive screws around the board. Keeping in mind, there are two different sizes. There are T25 and T20. So these three are the standard T20s. These are T20 drive star drives. I just use a little socket and screwdriver style ratchet set. That's the easiest one for me. Like that. Or grab yourself a set of those, that'll do the job. But I'm going to cheat today. I've got a little power driver, which I call my zippy tool, and we're going to just whip them out quickly like that. Now you'll notice as we're doing this, that one there is obviously been damaged at some stage. When we get the jet pump, I'll show you what goes on there. So I wouldn't recommend you use this style of tool. I've had this jet pump out earlier, so I know what's going to come out. I would just do it by hand, and make a note too. Those screws are that size. These last two, you'll see, is a small one. There and there. That's all your T25s. And then and you'll have the small one. So what you've got is one long one there, and two shorter ones either side. That's it. So that's as easy as that as far as getting that undone. So now the jet pump simply lifts out. The plug socket goes into the battery cavity from the inside. So all you really do is just simply lift it out, just like that. And there it is. And as you can see, that's your plug socket that sits inside the board. So the idea with that is it's all modular and it sort of stays in one piece. And then you've got your gap through here. And this is all water cooled, and this is how the water gets in through and the battery cavity and cools that all down. So that's all cool. Let's have a little look here. And I'll get the camera a little closer at this fella. So as you can see, the head's missing off that screw. What can happen when you undo these is the screw will seize in the insert will spin in the board. Now when that happens, it's very difficult to do anything with. So I've had this jet pump out once before doing some tests on it. I had to drill the head off the screw. So if you've got any screws that won't come undone and it's just spinning, won't loosen, it's just a simple matter of getting say an 8mm drill and drilling the head off. When I reinstall the new jet unit, I'll just put a bit of silicone over that. But it's important when you put the new screws in, and the screws are supplied with the new jet unit, is put a bit of grease or a bit of anti-seize on those, and that'll stop that problem in the future. So let's get the new jet pump out, and we'll stick it in. Okie dokie, we've got a brand new jet unit here. That's the brand new G3 jet unit we just pulled out of the box. So we're going to drop that straight back in. But just a little bit of information, we'll talk about jet units and whatnot. Obviously the G3 and the G2 versions are different. The software's different and the remote's different. So if you're putting a G3 jetpack in an older G2 board, you'll either have to upgrade the hand control or change the software in it. I'd suggest to upgrade the hand control. It'd be a better option. This one has a G3 jet pump in it already, so we're just going to put a G3 back in again, so the hand controller will work fine. What else you get in the box? Obviously a bunch of new screws, depending which style of board it's going to go into. We're going to use these with the threads, not this style, and of course a full set of instructions so that you can onboard and reload the jet unit, because obviously the jet unit is the heart of the board. So You've just got to go through the processes as if it was a new board and reset that again. So that's all pretty cool. So alright, so let's pop this in. It's obviously got around the wrong way. We'll stick it in there like that. That's cool. And you can see that broken screw. We'll put some Sikaflex in there to seal it up. It's quite okay with one missing. It's not ideal, but it'll do the job. So, all right. So we'll get our little bag of screws here. So a tub of grease, bag of screws, and let's have a look because obviously we've got different sizes. So in the bag, yes, there's your two small ones for the rear. There's your thinner ones for the front. There. Alright, thin ones for the front, and here are your big ones for the rear, so we don't get them all mixed up. Alright, so what I'm going to do, get my T25, yep, cool, which is the same, a little bit of grease, and we can start somewhere in the middle. And I'm going to do these up by hand. I'm not going to use the little rail gun. It will do some damage if you get it wrong. I just use that just to make it quick and easy for us to get it out. And I've had that unit out once before, so I knew it was going to come out okay. So why I'm using the grease rather than Loctite is I find the grease tends to stop the bolts from seizing in place. The Loctite will definitely hold the bolt in place, but I find it makes it difficult to get out and can make those inserts spin. So I've been finding grease works more successfully in this situation. So now I'm doing these two at the rear. Remember, the two rear are the two smaller ones in the T25s. Cool, and you notice I haven't tightened those yet. I'll make sure all the screws are in before we tighten it up. That's always a rule of thumb. With any mechanical work, never do one of the bolts up before the rest are in place. And we'll put these three thinner ones with the T20 drive in front here. Okie dokie, let's quickly whip this jet unit off. I'll show you how it works inside, what to look for, little tips and tricks. Okay, let's just quickly look at the tools we need to remove this little Radinn jet unit. So first up is your T20 star drive, T25 star drive, T30, and we need that in the T handle or L handle to get down the jet unit. Quarter drive ratchet to drive these. 3/8 drive ratchet with a 17mm socket to hold the shaft inside. Pry bar to actually get it off. Big pair of pliers, multi-grips, whatever you want to call them, to undo the end cap. And then I use my little zippy tool. And first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is remove the cone. Quick tip is, this job can be done on the Jetboard. It's very difficult. I like to just remove the jet pump. You can get around it a lot easier. So my suggestion is, if you have to do a jet pump impeller change or bearings or anything in here swapped over, just whip the jet pump out. It's easier to work on the bench than in the board. So that's all cool. So all right, we'll get started. We'll quickly remove the cone. This is your T20 little star drives. I'm going to cheat and use my little zippy tool, make it faster. Cool, so that's your compression cone. In some models, actually, you change those compression cones to a different style depending on the output of the power of the jet unit. But I believe all these days they all come with a Pro style one. So anyway, that's how that comes off. Drop the screw. Next step then is we need to remove the jet pump housing itself. That's just the compression nozzle we've got out of the way now, and we move up to the T25. Okay, so now they're all undone. So it's just a simple thing of just basically prizing it off. It's just got an O-ring, holds it on, evenly pry it off. It's come off nicely there. And out she comes. I'll get rid of the screws. So that's what you see there. So basically it's your jet pump impeller, your jet pump housing with what they call the vane unit in it. So as you can see inside there, and I'll show you a bit more when I get the prop off, the vanes actually are like a turbine in a jet engine, which as the water passes through the jet pump, impeller spinning, the vanes actually straighten the water out and push it out more straight rather than swirling. It's more efficient that way. So that's very cool. So first thing to check, obviously make sure the jet pump bearings are running smoothly. You can see that's very nice. No rumbling, no side slop. You can see it hasn't been rubbing on the housing. This one's relatively new, so it hasn't had much work. So yeah, that's in good condition. So as far as how it drives goes, you have a stainless steel shaft there with 2 flats milled on either side and matches inside the impeller. So the next thing we'll do in here is your wearing. That just simply slides out. So if anyone out there knows a bit about jet pumps, obviously the clearance between the impeller and the wear ring is quite important. I must admit these Radinn style jet pumps have more clearance than you could probably really need. It'd be more efficient with less. From the jet ski world where I come from, the clearance is going to be really tight in there, but the beauty with that is it's not going to wear down and it's not going to reduce performance because it's got plenty of clearance to start with. So just check the wearing out in the sense that it isn't too badly grooved up. That one's got a little bit of grooving in it, but it's very, very minimal, so that's fine. All right, let's reset this camera and we'll get this jet unit apart. Alrighty, let's get this impeller off. So the way it works is under this compression cone at the back, which you'll see there's 2 little flats either side. I'll just get my big pair of pliers there and undo that. That's only plastic, and just be careful. There is a little O-ring in there. So just make sure that doesn't fall out. So that's all good. And what we're looking for in there is a really bad smell, believe it or not. If water's got in there, it gets really stinky. And make sure the grease looks fresh, but that looks good. Now, if it's all really black and nasty, that's not ideal, so you'll replace the bearings, but that looks fine. It's good. So this end, we use our 17mm socket on there, and it's probably very difficult to see, but right down in there is another star drive, which that's where our 30 or T30 star drive comes into place. So put that down into there, we'll put our handle there. Oh, there's that O-ring I talked about, so watch that little guy. Stick that into there, and what I'll do, I'll use this little handle here to help me undo this. So let's make sure the ratchet's the right way. So get it like that, and yeah, so do it. Came up pretty easily. That's good. Just undo that screw in there. Loose, I reckon that's loose there now. And then impeller, yeah, should just wriggle off. So what you've got down inside there is your little Allen key. That's your square drive for your shaft, and then there's another little square drive in the back there to drive the jet pump shaft. So in here, there's a little shake-proof washer. You can see in there, that sits on the impeller. And of course then you've got the seal. So just make sure that seal's in good condition. If it's not, we'll replace it. And then we'll just double check the bearings again. Now that feels lovely. So everything's in good condition there. So as far as the impeller goes, what you're looking for in the impeller is mainly damage on these leading edges. This one again is in lovely condition, but if you've got big chips and dings and rocks and all sorts of nasty sort of damage on there, I would get just a little round file, or if you've got a linishing tool, just clean up those edges and sharpen them, and try and make them consistent. So for example, there's a big chunk out of one corner here, just make it the same as you go around. You know, you can take a little bit off these impellers without doing too much harm. They're actually either quite large for the amount of power they put through, so if you lose a bit, that's no big deal. So yeah, clean those edges up, or replace the impeller. That's the other option. Now I can supply the impellers, bearings and bits and bobs, everything you need, or you can get them through Radinn yourself. Okay, so what we're going to do is obviously just going to wipe that grease surface around that seal out, and we'll get some fresh grease. And we'll grease that up around that seal like that. And then we'll find a little shake-proof washer, drop that back in place, and then look for obviously the flats and the flats on there. And pop that back in place there like that. A little Allen key again. I love my grease. It's probably from my outboard experience. I'm a qualified outboard mechanic, among other things. So I'm going to put that back into that. Screw that back in. And you can hold the impeller to a certain extent of this until you get to a process where you need to tighten it up. There you go, that's at the bottom. Put a ratchet on there. Get our tool on the end. Give that a tweak. There you go. Impeller back on. Beautiful. Get rid of a bit of the grease. Okay, next thing we want to do is obviously check out the O-ring around here. Make sure that's going to be sealing okay. We'll get a bit of grease on that again and run around that O-ring, and I'll put some grease inside there to help in wear on the shaft. And don't put too much in there, because if you put too much in there, it will actually hydraulic. And if you know what that means, it means there's too much grease in there and you can't squash it in. So make sure that's the case. Now the other thing I want to keep in mind too is this little O-ring here. It's designed to let the water come through the jet pump into the battery motor. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but the battery motor is water cooled. There's a water jacket in it. This is where the water passes through. So you need to flush the boards as you do a petrol board when you use it. So that's all cool. So basically, let's get the jet pump back and we'll reassemble the jet pump from there. Okie dokie. First thing we'll do, we'll pop that wear ring in. Just make sure it's clean of sand and whatnot in there. It doesn't matter which way it goes in, it'll go either direction. Just slide that in. It slips in there, just push it home. Then obviously the jet unit's got to go in. So the best way to do that is have a look at the shaft. I don't know if you can see it from there. You angle the shaft, sort of sitting this way. And so what you do is you rotate your impeller so it's basically the same way, and making sure you line up the cooling holes. And also there's a big cutaway here that allows the flushing tube to go in. So based on that, the jet pump sits like that. The shaft should be around there, and hopefully that'll go straight in like that. Now if it doesn't, you can stick your finger in there, move the impeller a little bit to get it right, but that's in place, which is great. So we'll get some screws here, and grease, Alright, they're all greased up. Screw them in. I like to put things back together by hand. You get a better feel for things. If something gets jammed or stuck, you can feel it. So that's why I don't generally use power tools to assemble. Okay, just nip them up diagonally, of course. That's good. Alright, now we'll get the compression cone, and again there's an O-ring, so we're going to do the same thing with the grease. And we'll put a smear of grease all the way around. Again, that helps us hold the O-ring in place. Makes it easier to reassemble. So that's it. Just make sure the O-ring's all in good condition. So as you can see, these are they're beautifully manufactured. It's the Swedish made stuff. Obviously Radinn is. It's good quality. You won't see a lot of that real nice quality work in some of the Japanese boards, or Chinese boards I should say. Alright, let's put that on. We'll grab our T20. And of course, job's not done till the grubby hand marks are off. And there you go. So that's how it's done. It's pretty simple, just need some basic tools, and you can reassemble that jet pump and get yourself going again. So I hope that's been helpful, and we'll talk soon. Okay guys, thanks for watching again. We've got that new jet pump sorted, obviously. We'll get it back to the customer, he'll be happy again. And yeah, well listen, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. It'll motivate it for me to do more. And there's so much more in the jetboard stuff we can do and show you. So please subscribe, and we'll do some more for you. Thanks again.